to our third episode. And this time,
Yay!
we're going to be talking about this is going to be a two-parter, by the way, but we're going to be talking about money talks and breaking generational curses through financial literacy. So, welcome again to Unscripted and Untold podcast. And I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Miss Harriet.
Hi, everybody. How are you? And how are you today, Janice?
I'm amazing. Amazing. How about you?
Same thing. I'm not going to claim whatever day I have. I'm going to say I'm here. I'm upright. God gave me another day, so I'm amazing as well.
Yep. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so we're ready for this topic to dive.
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right.
We
So
are.
here's some things, right? Why this topic really matters is because it's going to bring a couple of statistics of real world examples of generational wealth gaps. And then we're going to talk about how money or the lack thereof shaped up our upbringing.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a good topic.
Yeah. Yeah. So, where do we start from here? What money stories did you grow up with?
Well, you know what I grew up with, I get my parents came from, and it's funny because I think some people can relate. They
Mm,
came from two different generations. My mom was a baby boomer, and my dad was like 8 years older than she. So he came like more out of the, uh, what do you call it? The patriotism era.
right. Yeah.
So both of my parents, my dad was, I don't want to call him stingy or tight with his money, but he was. But my mom, I think between the two, my mom was the better
Mm,
budgeter, I guess,
mm.
which is funny to me. It's funny. I can always remember the time because my mom, I came from a blue collar uh, background. Both my parents were blue collar workers. My mom worked for the auto industry, and I can always tell because back in those days, they would lay off and then call it back, lay off. There were a period of layoffs and call back.
Yeah.
I can always tell when my mom would be laid off for a period because my dad, he would not budge. I mean, he was so tight with the money and everything. And to where, my mom had to say, well, the kids need clothes, school clothes, the kids need this. And didn't I just pay for this? Didn't I just give you my, it's the stuff like that.
Like
And
it's like complaining, but
right, right, right. But
mm,
then when my mom, went back to work and she was working, it was like Christmas for us because we know she, we would, she would get our school clothes. She never complained, things that we need. It's like a, extra treat for us. So
yeah.
it was interesting. It was the two dynamics. Looking back at it as a grown person now. So how about you?
The same. Both of my parents are blue collar workers. My mom worked at AT&T for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she worked in different facets in different departments and so forth. So she was, I believe, was well rounded.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember they used to have those times where you go to work with your parent and
Yeah.
so the first thing I saw was my mother was typing like real fast and I'm like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had this mindset like I wanted to be into corporate America too
Yeah.
and
Me too.
work downtown and
Yeah, that's the thing. When you work downtown,
everything.
you've arrived pretty much. You're
Yeah,
doing your
you're
thing.
right.
Uh-huh.
So, and my dad was a postal worker since I was born, basically. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I could say that my father was a veteran as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we used to live in Euclid, and then we moved up into Richmond Heights. I want to say I had to be in 6th grade, I believe, or
Mhm.
something like that. So we were in a pretty nice neighborhood at the time,
Mhm.
and we were able to get things, and but then it got to a point, you can't do this, you can't do that, we don't
Right.
have money for that.
Right.
And I always felt the need to, be the helper, So
Mhm.
I went, and I think by 15, I already had a job.
Mhm. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So
Yep.
I'm like, w- you know, money at the time was like, it didn't really have a hold like it did in later in my life.
Mhm. Mhm.
I just saw it as, okay, well, I'm just helping. So I would give my parents money for like a bill or something so I could feel responsible.
Oh, wow.
So, um,
Okay.
I when I look back at some things, I'm like, we really had some, we didn't want for too much of anything, which is
Yeah.
great. But yeah, I've heard uh some things as I grew up. Um, and I think what I can say my upbringing was to be wise.
Yeah.
But then I did see a contradiction of it, like shopping.
Mhm.
That's when you go shopping, you do this, you go to the mall,
Mhm.
and we, I would say, we didn't really save like that. I didn't know how to. I wasn't really taught that until later
Hmm.
in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it really blows my mind now because I'm like, whoa.
Right. Um, you know, and I think you can attest to this. We didn't know anything about investing, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
I wish I would have known, my parents would have taught me about they taught me about, how to open up an account. I had a little savings account, my little savings book. But as far as, learning about investing and, I didn't know that until, I became an adult, and grown on my own.
yeah. And that's another thing. Like, is that considered like a generational behavior by not learning how to say, like, what are we teaching? Okay, this way. They taught us this way, but what are we teaching our children moving forward? And I can't wait to get to that part. But let's start off at the beginning and kind of
Right.
just like, did we really save anything? I could. When I got my first credit card, I had me and a boyfriend child, and me. I wanted to. I think I was still in high school. It might have been my last year or something. And
Mhm.
he went to homecoming with me or something. I bought his whole outfit.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. You
Then
said
at the
looking back at
same
that.
time, feel like it'll
I
get.
th Right, and how old were you when you got your first credit card?
I think I had to be like 17.
See, that I think that's the beginning of, the downfall for me, 'cause I think I was 18, and
Okay.
then I was, as soon as I graduated from high school, I started work. I worked downtown and, got a little job downtown, and I still wanted to continue my education, but I was working too, but, I got that JC Penney card, and
Oh, that thing was the devil.
it was. It really was. It really was, and, but I wasn't at the time I got my first car, I made my car payments on time, and, I did think my mom co-signed for me for my first car,
Mm.
and then I made my payments on time, and by the next year, I wanted a new car, and I was able to get it on my own, I didn't need no co-signer, I thought I was out. But again, I think, what do you I think handing out credit cards to people at 7 to 18-year-olds and stuff, that
Because we were never taught about credit. We wasn't
right,
taught what I know now about credit. There was no way I would have did that.
right,
No way.
right. Exactly, and I don't even honestly, I don't remember my parents even having a credit card. I think they paid whatever they paid, they had, like, a mortgage or whatever, but they paid it. It wasn't like credit card. I've never heard them talk. Now that I'm thinking about it, never heard them talk about a credit card.
But see, it's better to pay with your credit card than a debit card anyway.
Yeah, it
We
is.
didn't know that then.
We didn't know it. We didn't know it,
Scary.
but, it is. Now, what
Mm.
about our grandparents, the ones that didn't believe in banks and, you hide that money under the mattress or out in the yard, dig it up in the yard. Maybe I'm going way back. Maybe I'm going too far back. I don't
No,
know.
no, you're not, because I still think that was wisdom, because uh that was smart. I think it was
Mhm.
very smart, because we shouldn't be relying on these banks. We shouldn't be relying on we should be setting up trust funds and so forth.
Mhm.
We can be our own banks. It's a whole conversation about that. But we can be our own banks instead of going to your standard PNC, your standard
Right.
Navy Federal or whatever.
Right.
You could be your own bank, and I'm sure, put a trust and all of that other stuff, and put your kids under there, put your
Mhm.
husband, or your husband can be over it, whatever. Um, I think they were smart.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with putting something up, just in case, because yes, the dollar will fall eventually.
Mhm.
It is already, but
Right.
it will fall where, we're not going to be able to have the physical money in our hand,
Mhm.
and those who do have it will be able to do a little, until it runs out with that. But I think they were smart, and they
Yeah.
prepared for the worst.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that, because it's better to be prepared than not to be prepared.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. I can recall, my great uncle, and I loved him I mean, he was like the griot. I mean, he could recall everything. This was my
yeah.
father's, uncle. He's from the South, and still, I mean, this he was like a, walking history, and he lived like it was still, the Reconstruction era of the Civil War. He still lived it. I mean, he still lived on a farm. I mean, he was a tenant farmer, but I mean, that's all he knew. But didn't realize later on that the man had money. He did. He really had money. He just didn't live that. I mean, he was
Yeah.
very frugal, and I think, everybody in that town knew him and knew, that he might, he had money, because I mean, it's sad, but it was true. But when he passed away,
Mm,
people tore up that land, digging, looking and see, if they could find, that pot of gold, because they knew how he was.
mm,
um, they found a little bit, but but he did have a bank account, which I was kind of surprised. But I also knew that he had put money, it could have been under the chicken coop. It could have been, and people were, looking for that money, and they found some, but it wasn't nearly what they thought. So I think he might have, you know,
You know, I don't know if a lot of people know this, right? And if you do, great.
mhm.
Prince, the singer, he had a lot of gold buried under his floor beds.
Mm. No, I didn't know that.
Mm,
Wow.
smart.
Exactly.
It
Very sad.
wasn't money,
Mhm.
it was gold that
Mm.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So,
Didn't know.
and that's what I mean. Like, I think that in that era, they were very highly intelligent people. But we have to remember, I can't remember what year, 19 something, 19, it might be 1930. I should have looked it up, but there was a time where the money it had a gold standard on it,
Mm.
and they took it off. Uh,
Oh, wow.
I have to look this up.
Yeah.
My phone. I'm about to look this up. Um, let me see. It was a gold standard on the dollar. Um, and I forgot what president took it off. I think it was Nixon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Um, yeah, they actually had the gold standard is a monetary system in which the standard economic unit of account is based on a fixed quantity of gold. So I can't even remember what year it was, but it was early 1900s, I believe.
Mm,
And they had it on there, and then they took the gold standard off the gold, and this is what we have now, which is monopoly money.
right.
Yeah,
Right. Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, it blows your
wow. It,
mind.
it does blow my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how has our upbringing, how do you think it affected us now? How did it affect you now as an adult as far as, money, and do you have a love-hate relationship with money, or are you
I still look at it as a tool, um,
okay?
because if I go chasing after it, it's going to run.
Mhm.
If I work hard and do the right thing with it, it's going to flow back to me.
Mhm.
And that's just how I think. And then because of my upbringing, it changed the way I thought of things. So I always, and I'm still like this, but I'm always trying to learn something, and I was always trying to figure out, well, why is it this way and why is it that way?
Right.
This is the conversation I'm completely waiting for.
Yeah.
So, um, it was a 2016. We were still in our 30s, right? And
Mhm.
my husband and I moved from Ohio to Florida,
Mhm.
and we got into this. It wasn't really an MLM, but
Mhm.
it was a I don't know. It was great, whatever.
Okay. Okay.
We were called Care Bars, and it was like all of these people from different religions and different backgrounds and different.
Mhm.
Just it didn't matter. It was just all of us together. We was just learning, you know.
Mhm.
I learned so much about money. It ain't even funny. So anything that that we learned, we taught our kids.
Okay.
And we was like, before my son even came out of high school, he was to a point where he was saving.
Mhm.
He had him a credit card. He still has his credit card to this day. Um, he knows how to say, he knows how to use his money wisely. He,
Yeah.
he doesn't, he's not frivolous with it.
Mhm.
Um, but we learned so much about, and that's how we learned about the gold standard on the dollar, and
Mhm.
um, where the real money is gold,
Yeah.
and that's in the Bible.
Right. Right. That's
That's
true.
that's the Lord money.
Yeah.
So when we started learning that, I was just like, and it's like you had to completely erase what you learned
Mhm.
up, and then take on what you're learning in terms of money.
Mhm.
So I think because me knowing that gold is the real money, I don't get into a place like, oh, what I'm gonna do with this, or how I'm gonna
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Um, and I found myself going back to my roots, where
Mhm.
we farm, we grow our own
Mhm.
food. It's kind of like that makes sense more
Right.
so what we've been taught to do.
Exactly. And,
And
pretty soon, I think everybody gonna have to learn how to farm, farm, grow our own foods, and, you know,
yeah,
so
it really changed how I dealt with it. Like I
mhm.
still have issues. I'm not perfect at it, but I know
Yeah.
I find myself, if we repent and say, you know what, Lord, help me to be wise
Yes.
how I'm dealing with money. Like I have
Right.
this to because we're supposed to still pay that debt. We shouldn't owe anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
exactly.
So it really changed a lot. And I'm still learning. That,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, me too. I have a few I don't want to say side hustles. I'm hoping my side hustles will retire me from my 9 to 5 job. That's what I'm well, I'm not going to say hope. That's what I'm striving to do.
Right.
And doing, working these businesses, you have to learn how to spend wisely and I believe, I don't wanna work for my money, I want my money to work for me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I think and it's just personal opinion, this is just my personal, you know, I'm gonna be chasing that dollars as long as I'm working for, somebody else. That's just my it's fun. It's kind of ironic because I did grow up around entrepreneurs. My dad, he had a business for a little bit. My grandmother owned her own beauty shop. She had her own salon. So I do have, so the entrepreneur spirit has always been in me. And, I just wish, if I could turn back some years, I really would have went through that path instead of,
Working a
uh
job.
working, trying to be corporate and work, for somebody else, make somebody else rich. And and then, have a, job that I'm actually miserable with, like I am now. But anyway, um, but yeah.
Untold. Listen. Yeah.
And we're in our show notes, we're talking about how does, has money created any trauma? Um, yeah, I could definitely relate to that.
It has. Like when you think you've finally conquered something and you've overcome something, here comes something else.
Yeah, all the time. Yep.
Yeah. And it's there's always going to be it's always going to be there, and I think
Mhm.
how we choose to respond to it is something different.
Right.
The one thing
Right.
my husband said to me one year, I think this is when he was transitioning out of a job into
Mhm.
entrepreneurship, and I was transitioning into working from home. And he said, "Did you ever think that?" He's How did he put it? He said something to the effect of, "You're going to a job for them to give you money to get through the next 2 weeks."
Mm.
And I was like, hmm.
Mm. Yeah.
And I was like, it's a constant. It's like a hamster wheel.
It is.
Like, and I don't care how much money you make. I don't.
Right.
It's you still, because the more you make, the more responsibility or you may have or whatnot, and then that gets into a different space as well, or your tax bracket and all of that. But
Yeah.
yeah, when he said, and then I was just like, I'd rather be an entrepreneur because there's no cap.
Right. Right.
Yeah, just being able
Right.
to break the monotony, I believe.
Right.
How about like your parents? Did they teach you intentionally or unintentionally about money? Like,
Um, intentionally,
okay.
when I got like maybe between 8, 9 years old, that's when, my parents taught me about, having a little savings account and, they would take me to the bank. I open up my little savings. And so they did. Um, and I also, would talk to my mom about, how she could I don't know how she did it. Um, but I guess, the dollar stretched a lot farther than it does now,
Exactly. Oh.
you know. But she was able to, help pay the bills and everything. My dad, I mean, like I said, they both, if they worked, and I guess the complaint was my parents divorced when I was 17, but
Okay.
it's kind of funny because on the outside, everybody think, oh, you guys are doing well, and they could have. And from talking to my mom, um, my mom was the better budgeter, even though my dad was cheap. He, I don't know, he he made them we make ends meet. That wasn't that. It's just that my mom just had a knack of stretching out her dollars a little
Yeah,
farther. I don't know how to explain it.
I get that because I'm the one who is like that where okay, I have a budget. This is what
Mhm.
I'm doing for the week, um,
Mhm.
and I plan out from there. So
Mhm.
I'm not going over budget, especially if something comes up, such as we needed two brand new tires,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, but we still have to go to the grocery store. There's rent,
Right.
so you got a whole bunch of different things and dynamics going on, and just being able to stretch that dollar and say, okay, this, being able to make sure that all your needs are met. So,
Right. Right.
so what about
Right.
like emergency funds?
Mm. That, you know,
Yeah,
I have to discipline myself. I'm just being transparent. I do have to, and I'm learning. I'm always researching and learning. Trying to uh learn ways. So how do I put away and leave that money alone? Because that's for this. Don't go in it to get it for something. So I guess the first thing I have to ask, is this really a need or a want? You know, I really got to have a really, before I decide, okay, it's really a want. Okay, then don't even get out of that emergency fund. You don't need. I mean, it's for emergency. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely a work in progress. My husband is a better. Between the two of us, I have to admit, um, he is a better
saver.
saver than I am.
My husband is too, and but that's what we learned in care bars. They was like, put a tenth away, just like you're giving a tenth to
Yeah.
you put a tenth up for yourself.
Yep.
Um, whatever you make. So like
Mhm.
whatever I make doing delivery runs, that's a 10 that I put
Mhm.
up. So it's actually a like 20, try to do in like 20%
Mhm.
where, you give to the church or you give to the pastor or whatever.
Mhm.
I also give to a charity as well. So
Mhm.
whatever you want to do, but long as you're putting up that 10%, and that's what we taught our kids. We was like,
Mhm.
put it up. Like
Right.
you have what you need here. If you want something, like you said, is it a want or a need?
Mhm.
And being able to decipher which one,
You're right. Right.
you would actually do. So
Right.
yeah, I think that's important. My husband was like, I don't care what's going on financially. He was like, he's gotten to that habit.
Mhm.
He forgets about it. And if there's an emergency and it's deemed okay, I have to go there and get it out.
Mhm.
He'll do that,
Mhm.
but
And
he
then
will act like it's not there.
that's the good mindset. And
Yeah,
that's something, that's a very good mindset.
yeah.
I remember, and for a while, I had a good friend of mine. She would put, like, whatever she would put a portion and just stick it, like, dollars, like, in a Bible,
Mm,
you know,
I might have to do that too.
and whatever, I mean, I was doing good with that.
Okay.
I open up a page and just put like a $5 bill here, or even if I can put a $20 bills inside, in the pages of the Bible.
Mhm.
And next thing you know, I had like over 200 and something dollars. If once I started going through pages, I said, oh, there's a 20 there. Oh, you know what I mean? And I really have to go because and then I actually I did. I started forgetting about it. But I did it as a habit. I just put, and then put it away. I wasn't even, you know, going back in. I don't know, maybe because I think that Bible was is sacred to me and I didn't want to, you know, mess with that. So, but then, when we really, needed to pay something, I went in and but I had all these bills, but I mean, it was for me that was a, when, she told me how she did, I said, I'm gonna try that. And it did. I don't know if it's a psychological thing or what, but
I can see that because I don't always go back to the same scripture every day.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah, I can see that. Like if I go into First Kings, I probably won't go into First King again until like unless I'm led there. But
yeah, right,
I can see
right.
that. Okay, I might have to try it because
Yeah, I was like, okay, and oh, you needed money for gas? Oh, you got to, just open up a page and you see $5 and it was like, okay, so
but then
I'm like,
that's another thing that me and my husband do. The tips like we make off of delivery runs, like somebody
mm-hmm,
give us cash, we'll put it up in up in the car.
mm-hmm,
Anytime we see anyone who's in need, just
mm.
and give it to them.
Oh wow, oh that's good.
Because that's, I
That's a
mean,
good,
that's a part of you will not lack, and that's in the word.
right,
You will not lack
right.
giving. You're giving to
It's
the poor. Yeah.
My
So
mom, yeah, my mom taught me about tithing, because then when she goes, we went to church enough, she always tithe, always, always. And when I started, having, financial troubles and stuff and all of that, I would, talk to my mom. She said, and I tried it. She said, look, all your needs will be met. You just
oh
give
yeah.
back 10%, you know, give him, just give him 10%. And I, started doing it, and I thought, "Ugh, I'm gonna be short if I do." But I did it somehow, some way,
The faith.
that bill was paid. It was, so that, and this is just this is, no, we're not pushing, religion or anything on every, we're just, this is just
Our
my faith. Yeah.
faith. Yeah.
And I noticed that I, had enough, always had enough.
Yeah.
Even when I think I don't, because I'm doing them, I said, well, if I give, my gross 10% of my gross to the, I tithe, this is gonna leave me with this amount. But I did it, and but still was able to, the bills were being paid.
It's we do it by faith too,
If you do it by faith, right.
and that's just like with literally. I kid you not. To what you're saying. Okay, like I said, we just needed two tires,
Mhm.
and I was just like, okay, well, I ain't gonna worry about it because he told me don't worry about it,
Mhm.
right? And then he told me it was taken care of. Okay,
Mhm.
well, he ain't gonna lie to me, so
Right. Right.
and it got taken care of.
Right.
So
Exactly.
what am I worried? I shouldn't have been worried. Nothing. So it's a
Exactly.
different type of peace, and it's and you believe in that he will do exactly what he said, and he does.
Right.
He's not a man,
Exactly.
he shall lie. So
Exactly.
the Lord plays a to me my experience the Lord has and he I mean there's so many different financial nuggets in
Mhm.
the Bible that will tell you what you need to do.
Right.
Um it takes wisdom, it takes discernment.
Mhm.
The enemy, like especially if you're a wealthy person, um, I guess in a way, like, and I'm talking on the spiritual sense of this, you can't just give your money all willy nilly. You have to
Right.
have discernment because
Right.
the enemy will come in and try to take
Yep.
and deceive you into doing this and doing that. Okay, well, what's it? Well, let me think about it. Because if I go and come and ask you for $10,000, you be hesitant.
Mhm.
Oh, why would you need $10,000 from me?
Mhm.
We don't we haven't known each other that long.
Mhm.
Why would I do that? So you would be like, okay, let me think about this. Meaning, in a spiritual sense, let me go and pray and ask the Lord if I'm supposed
Yeah.
to give this person this money
Right.
because
Right.
we have to be wise.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
So we're gonna have to I would like to for our we did like I said, this is a continuing conversation in a two-parter, maybe three, depending.
Right.
Um, but I would like to bring on a financial expert that can kind of give us a little bit of how tidbits of how, things that we can save, things of how we can, break that mindset from generational
Mm,
cycle and just be smart about money and how we can better and leave a legacy because that's the thing about leaving for our next for our kids and our grandkids.
generations. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
And,
so
it all they all tie together. Credit
yeah,
management,
yep,
budgeting, all of it ties all together.
yeah,
In terms of how you build your wealth going forward. And that's why I said, like, we could be our own banks and,
yep,
set up a trust fund,
yep.
and government can't come in and touch that.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
They can't.
And again, it's there's a lot of things that we as people of color, African American, we just didn't know about things about, especially about our money. And it's about time we, there's no excuse now. Back in our parents and our grandparents and stuff, it to me, and I understand, where my parents came. They came from survival. My dad, especially my dad, it's all about surviving, and you got to hold on to that money, and but now it is about survival. It still is, but I mean, I think we have a little more information
Yeah,
behind that, and
resources.
resources and tools that we can do, that we can not only survive but actually live. You know what I mean?
I think that's what I go back to care bars because of the fact we were able to put up gold. We were able to
Mhm.
learn about precious metals and so forth,
Mhm.
cryptocurrency. Those things are going to be huge.
Yeah,
They already are, but I'm just
they
saying
are. I'm
it's going to
scared
be
of crypto.
harder.
I don't know. I know it's here and there, and it's going to be a huge thing. I don't know. I guess because I don't know all about it, so I have
Okay,
to really research and understand it. But I don't
it's
know.
risky. It is,
Yeah.
but so is carrying monopoly money. So
Yeah. Yeah. It is
it's
right.
it, it's about the same. It's
Yeah.
um, but it's I think it's really fun to learn it.
Mhm.
Um, I've had some amazing mentors and teachers that show me. My husband has a whole portfolio, and he tells
Mm.
me like, "You should have some more stuff," and I was like, "Okay." So my even my son, he has cryptocurrency too.
Wow.
Yeah, like I'm
Wow.
telling you, everything we were taught, we
Mhm.
taught them
Yeah. Yeah.
because we didn't
Well,
want
I
them to
have to learn
repeat
it.
the cycle.
Yeah, well, my husband, we were just talking about it too. Yeah, I really want to learn what it, the ins
Entails,
and outs
yeah.
of it. Yeah, because like I said, I don't know, it's something, it scares me. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
fresh money.
Maybe because it's not tangible. I can't put it
Yeah.
in my hand, and I think that's what it is.
But think of it this way. And I learned this from, this young lady. Maybe I can get her on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But she teaches credit.
Okay.
but it was something that when she was teaching us about contracts and different things about the banks don't have the money.
Mhm.
All you seeing
Mm.
is the numbers anyway,
Mm.
right? You
Okay.
all you see are numbers. They can't physically no, they don't have the money. You have the money.
And this is
You're the one
crypto?
no, I'm
Oh,
talking
the
about just in the bank.
regular bank? Oh, the bank
Yeah,
itself.
they don't have money. So
Mm.
it's all it is numbers, literally. If you think of it that way, like any okay, just like when we do delivery runs,
Mhm.
what we see is numbers. The
Yeah.
numbers being inputted into the bank.
Okay.
And then that's the same thing with cryptocurrency. It's numbers. So if you think of it that way, you won't have so much of an attachment to
Mhm.
or a disattachment. I mean, not attached to the cryptocurrency because it's literally numbers.
It's all about numbers
It's
and
all about numbers.
okay.
If you think about it, you can't go and okay, how can I put it? Like just like you can if you go to the ATM,
Mhm.
how much money can you actually you can't go in there and take $800 out. They give you a limit of how much you
Right.
can take out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So there's so many it's so many like that's why I might try to see if she can
We need an expert in here on here
I
and
mean, the way she like the things that I've learned through this young lady, I don't look at money the same.
mm,
So, and I'm like, nah, because this is because I spent a whole 6 months under her tutelage. Yeah,
so let's try to get her on and
yeah,
you know.
we should. I'll get in touch with her for real.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Uh,
I guess
we gonna make this a part two.
yeah,
Or
we're gonna
we're
definitely have to do
it'll
that.
be
Or
yeah, yeah.
so before we leave, what's one money belief that you're ready to challenge this week? What do you think you're willing to do differently this week? Or maybe even starting Sunday. Maybe not today, but Sunday.
Starting Sunday, I'm gonna go back to um I definitely am committed in building up, if I got to put some dollars back into my word in scripture, go back to the Bible. I
What is
think
that
that
like to
yeah,
you?
I'm definitely gonna do that.
Yeah, me too. Because I'm finally in a space that I can do that again. Even if it,
Hmm.
like my husband said, even if it's $5,
Even if it's $5. Yep.
you'd be amazed what you come up with a year later.
Hmm.
So that's our challenge for next week.
That's our challenge. And you know what? And it's funny because my last pay period, because for I always pay with my debit card or whatever.
Yeah.
And this time I took a little bit of cash and put it in my purse, in my wallet, and it's still there. I haven't even touched it.
Hmm.
Because I know I got some cash. I mean, which is weird because I'm thinking, oh, I could just debit it. I could just debit. But now that I have, oh, I'm proud of myself because I haven't touched that little amount of money that I took out for myself, you know. So again, I can put that money that I haven't, used and put it in the Bible, inside the
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah. And just like we all got those penny jars.
Yep.
It's like you can put that in
Yep.
there.
That's what my husband does. Yep. Coins and yep, just put it in a jar there.
Yeah.
So yep, that's a challenge. And we want to hear from you guys. Uh
Yes.
what are your, money what have you learned as a, growing up? What were you instilled or, was it a generational thing or and what's the one thing you want to change from here on from this point forward?
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now about, money and savings and things like that. So we definitely want to hear from you.
Yes, yes. So this was a good episode.
Another good
Forward.
episode.
I'm looking
Another good
forward
episode.
to the next one, and I think we should do a part three as well
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because it's so much to this, and it can really dig deep, and then it may open up a lot of people's mind. I know, especially what I've learned over the years, it has opened
Mhm.
my mind up a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm hoping that it opens up other people's minds as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Mm. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of our Unscripted and Untold podcast. And we will talk with you later. And you guys be safe and be blessed.
All right, bye guys.